Are you struggling with sulfur burps while on a GLP-1 medication? If yes, this video is for you. Hey everybody, it's Allie. I'm on a fantabulous weight loss journey and hopefully you'll come along for the ride. So today I'm going to be talking about sulfur burps. And this one is a tough one because you really have to get to the root of what is causing you to have sulfur burps while on a GLP-1 medication. So let me first start out by saying I'm going to give you a lot of recommendations, but if you find that these recommendations don't work for you, you definitely need to talk to your doctor because it is something that they can give you a prescription for that will help. But if you're just looking at some options that you can do at home to potentially eliminate it, then here we go. First things first, and this is the most important part of sulfur burps, you need to be tracking your food and you need to look at the last thing that you ate. 9 times out of 10, sulfur burps are caused by the last thing that you ate. So if you had, let's say you had something that was red meat heavy for your last meal, and then you had sulfur burps, and then for the next meal you decide to go with chicken and you're fine, then make a note of that so that you can track that and see, okay, is this a red meat issue? Is this a vegetable issue? I had Brussels sprouts and they didn't digest well. Maybe that's what it was, right? So you really need to be tracking what you're eating so that you can figure out, okay, what was the last thing I ate before I got the sulfur burps? And keep a food journal. This has been hugely helpful for me in figuring out trigger foods that either make me nauseated, give me sulfur burps, or give me gas. And I've been able to avoid those foods or do a preemptive strike and get the good stuff in that we're going to talk about in a minute to try to get ahead of it so that you don't have a problem. But figuring out what food is triggering it is going to be your very first step. Next up is my best friend, digestive enzymes. And you will see a lot of people talk about different digestive enzymes online, and there's no reason to go crazy with it. You don't have to get something that's ridiculously expensive. There are 2 types that I prefer, and neither of them is very expensive, but they work. The first is a papaya digestive enzyme, and I'll put some links in the description box below. And the second is a specific brand, and the name of it is Gold Digest. That's not the name of the brand, but that's the name of, anyway, I'll link it below. Those 2 work fantastically. If you find that you're having sulfur burps, no matter what food choices you're making, then you may want to consider taking a digestive enzyme multiple times a day and see if that helps you. And just keep in mind that you may need to take it for a few days before you see that the sulfur burps are completely eliminated. So be patient, give it time, and be consistent is the main thing. Next up is going to be probiotics. Now, for some people, this has been a game changer. For me personally, it didn't help me when it came to sulfur burps. It helped with the gas, which we'll talk about later, but it didn't really help specifically with sulfur burps, but some people claim that it has. So I want to throw it out there. If you want to get a probiotic, then definitely give that a try. Next up is going to have to do with your meals. So you may want to do multiple smaller meals throughout the day, right? It may be the volume of food that you're eating at one time that may be causing it. The other thing that you may want to do is make sure that you're not drinking a liquid, whether it's water or a protein shake or anything for that matter, while you're eating your food and even an hour after you eat. And I know that this can be challenging, especially if you're combining doing multiple smaller meals and not drinking during those meals, but you may find that it helps you when it comes to sulfur burps right? And of course, you can take any number of these suggestions and combine them together. So let's say you do a smaller meal, you don't drink during the meal, and you take a digestive enzyme, right? Those are all things that you can do that could help you when it comes to sulfur burps. The last point that I want to mention, and this is specific for people who maybe work from home, or perhaps you're having these issues on the weekend, make sure that after you eat, you're staying upright, right? So for example, if you are just starting out on a dose and you're having a lot of fatigue and you eat and then you go lay down, you may find that you have sulfur burps, and that's because you really need to be in an upright position to really optimize that digestion. So stay upright, watch a movie, right? Give yourself a couple of hours to really digest that food before you lay down. I hope this video was helpful for you. If it was, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, consider subscribing. I'd love to have you along for the ride. And if you're looking for a positive-only support group, definitely check out the link in the description box below. And remember, the links to all those other items are down there as well. And as always, be kind, rewind.